Hello and welcome to my channel. Before moving on, hit the like button and subscribe and press the bell icon and comment your country. Today we're uncovering a chilling and shocking case set in the serene suburb of Crestwood in February 2022. This story revolves around the seemingly idyllic Owens family, whose picture-perfect life concealed dark secrets and a sinister turn toward murder. In Crestwood, everything appeared to be going well for the Owens family. Karen Owens, the epitome of a devoted mother, balanced her life as a homemaker while her husband, Tom Owens, worked tirelessly as an accountant at a reputable local firm. From the outside, their marriage seemed enviable, stable, supportive, and unbreakable. However, appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the polished exterior of their marriage, a storm was brewing that no one could have predicted. Unbeknownst to Tom, Karen was leading a double life. Overwhelmed by the monotony of her steady yet predictable marriage, Karen sought excitement in dangerous ways. She secretly engaged in multiple affairs, meeting lovers in motels, at lavish private parties, and even within the confines of their own home when Tom was away on business trips. She was meticulous, careful to cover her tracks and maintain her facade of perfection. But the thrill she sought pulled her deeper into an intricate web of lies. Tom's shocking discovery. Everything changed on a cold February evening when Tom returned home unexpectedly. Exhausted and battling the flu, Tom decided to surprise Karen with an early return. Quietly unlocking the front door to avoid disturbing the children, he immediately noticed something was off. The house was eerily silent, except for a faint rustling sound coming from upstairs. As Tom ascended the stairs, a sense of unease gripped him. His heart pounded with each step, and the strange stillness around him only amplified his anxiety. At the top of the staircase, he noticed the bedroom door was ajar, with a dim light casting an ominous glow into the hallway. Slowly pushing the door open, Tom's world shattered in an instant. Karen, his wife of many years, was entangled with another man, in their marital bed. For a brief moment, Tom froze. He stood in the doorway, his mind struggling to process the betrayal unfolding before him. The woman he had vowed to love and cherish forever had deceived him in the most devastating way possible. Karen was the first to notice him, her face turning ghostly pale as she scrambled to push the man away. She stammered, trying to explain, but her words barely registered in Tom's ears. It was as if the scene before him had stolen his ability to think or feel. Without uttering a single word, Tom turned on his heel and left the room. Karen called out to him, but he didn't stop. He descended the stairs and stepped outside into the frigid night air. His thoughts swirled chaotically as he walked aimlessly, the images of betrayal burning into his memory. No matter how far he went, those haunting images followed him, refusing to let him find peace. The days following Tom's discovery were a blur of heartbreak and anger. Sleep eluded him, food lost its appeal, and all he could focus on was Karen's betrayal. His once loving thoughts of his wife turned into a desperate need to uncover the full extent of her lies. Tom began scouring Karen's phone when she wasn't looking, poring over emails and rifling through every corner of her private life. What he found was more devastating than he ever imagined. Karen's infidelity wasn't a fleeting mistake. It was a carefully concealed lifestyle. There wasn't just one man, there were several. Her double life had been ongoing for years. Each new revelation felt like a fresh dagger to Tom's heart. Every hidden text, every clandestine meeting, exposed Karen as someone Tom no longer recognized. The woman he thought he knew had been living a life of deceit, shattering the foundation of their marriage. Tom's grief soon morphed into something darker. The love he once felt for Karen was replaced by an overwhelming rage. Her betrayal consumed his thoughts day and night, and a sinister idea began to take hold. Revenge. Tom couldn't let the men who had invaded his life and destroyed his family escape unscathed. He didn't just want answers, he wanted justice, his way. The first act of violence. On March 3rd, 2022, Tom set his plan into motion. He had discovered the identity of one of Karen's lovers, Derek, a local fitness instructor. After following Derek for days, meticulously studying his routine, Tom knew where and when he could confront him. That evening, Tom parked his car near Derek's apartment, waiting in the shadows like a predator stalking his prey. The quiet street and dim streetlights created the perfect backdrop for what was about to unfold. When Derek appeared, Tom's heart raced. Derek, unaware of the danger he was in, casually strolled toward his building. As he reached the door, Tom emerged from the shadows. Derek was startled to see Tom, but before he could react, Tom confronted him. The rage that had been simmering inside Tom erupted. He demanded answers. Details about the affair, how long it had been going on, and why Derek had thought it was acceptable to ruin another man's life. Caught off guard, Derek tried to de-escalate the situation, but Tom wasn't listening. As Derek attempted to walk away, Tom snapped. In a sudden, uncontrollable burst of rage, he grabbed a gym towel slung over Derek's shoulder. Wrapping it tightly around Derek's neck, Tom began to pull. All the anger and pain that had been building inside him found release in that moment. Derek struggled desperately, clawing at Tom's hands, but Tom's grip only tightened. Fueled by his unrelenting fury, he ignored Derek's weakening resistance. It wasn't until Derek's body went limp that Tom finally let go. Breathing heavily, he stared down at Derek's lifeless form, the magnitude of what he had just done slowly sinking in. He had crossed a line, one that could never be undone. A taste for revenge. Despite the horror of his actions, Tom didn't feel relief. Instead, a strange sense of power coursed through him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in months. The adrenaline rush overshadowed his guilt, and he convinced himself that one act of vengeance wasn't enough. He needed to eliminate every man who had been part of Karen's betrayal. In the days that followed, Tom meticulously planned and executed 2 more murders. Each was more brutal than the last, as his rage deepened and his sanity unraveled. On March 8th, 2022, the body of a local businessman, another of Karen's lovers, was discovered in a motel room. The scene was chaotic, with signs of a violent struggle, but no evidence to point directly to Tom. The police began to piece together a chilling pattern. 2 men, both connected to Karen Owens, had been killed within days of each other. Suspicion began to fall on Karen and her husband, but with little concrete evidence, the detectives were left grasping for answers. The investigation intensifies. By mid-March 2022, the police had connected the murders to Karen Owens through the victim's relationships with her. Derek and the businessman had both been her lovers, leading detectives to take a closer look at Karen and her husband, Tom. Karen was brought in for questioning, appearing distraught and shocked by the murders. She claimed she had ended her affairs and was focused on repairing her marriage. Her words seemed sincere, and without direct evidence, the detectives couldn't link her to the crimes. Tom was also questioned, but he played the role of a devastated husband convincingly. He seemed withdrawn, his sorrow palpable, as he explained how Karen's betrayal had shattered him. His alibis for the nights of the murders initially checked out, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. Despite their suspicions, they had no concrete proof to move forward. As the investigation stalled, Tom's mental state continued to deteriorate. The guilt, anger, and obsession that had driven him to murder began to consume him entirely. But there was still one man left, a wealthy real estate agent who had been Karen's lover for over a year. Tom viewed this man as the source of his deepest pain, the ultimate target of his wrath, the final confrontation. One fateful night, Tom decided to finish what he had started. He followed the real estate agent through the city, his mind racing with dark thoughts. The man, oblivious to the danger stalking him, drove to a secluded area on the outskirts of town. It was a quiet spot, one he often visited to unwind and clear his mind. Tom waited in the shadows, his heart pounding as he prepared to strike. As the man stepped out of his car, Tom approached, every step weighed down by the magnitude of what he was about to do. The tension in the air was suffocating, the darkness around them amplifying the gravity of the moment. But just as Tom was about to act, something inside him shifted. The anger and hatred that had fueled his actions suddenly dissipated, leaving him overwhelmed by guilt and self-loathing. Instead of attacking, Tom fell to his knees, trembling uncontrollably. He began confessing, his words tumbling out in a frantic, desperate stream. He revealed everything: Karen's infidelity, his feelings of betrayal, and the murders he had committed. The real estate agent, initially confused and then terrified, listened in stunned silence. He had no idea who Tom was or why he was telling him these things. Seeing an opportunity, the man backed away slowly before turning and running to his car. He sped away, immediately contacting the police. The shocking truth emerges. When the police arrived, they found Tom still at the scene, sitting in the dirt and mumbling incoherently. He didn't resist arrest, allowing himself to be handcuffed and led away without a word. The man who had once been a devoted husband and father was now a shell of himself, completely broken by his actions. As investigators dug deeper into the case, they uncovered a startling twist. Evidence from the Owens home, including text messages and Karen's diary, suggested that Karen had been manipulating Tom all along. She had fed his paranoia, encouraged his feelings of inadequacy, and subtly pushed him toward violence. Karen's diary revealed a chilling level of premeditation. She had written about her affairs in great detail, describing the thrill they brought her and her growing disdain for Tom. Most disturbingly, her entries hinted at her desire to use Tom to rid herself of her lovers. "If I push him just right, he'll snap. He'll take care of my problems for me." Text messages between Karen and her lovers further implicated her. She would drop subtle comments designed to stoke Tom's jealousy and paranoia, such as, "I heard noises last night while you were gone. I was so scared." The evidence painted Karen as a cold, calculating manipulator who had orchestrated a tragic sequence of events. The trial begins. By January 2023, the case of Tom and Karen Owens had captivated the nation. The courtroom was packed every day, with people eager to witness the unraveling of a scandal that combined betrayal, manipulation, and murder. The media coverage was relentless, painting the Owens family saga as both a tragedy and a cautionary tale. The prosecution presented a compelling case against both Tom and Karen. They began with Karen's diary, which revealed her manipulative intent and her growing contempt for Tom. Entries describing her affairs in vivid detail and her plans to push Tom into a breaking point shocked the jury. These damning revelations set the tone for the trial. The prosecution then introduced forensic evidence linking Tom to the murders. DNA, fingerprints, and other traces from the crime scenes demonstrated how methodically he had planned and executed each killing. They highlighted the chilling escalation of violence in Tom's actions, painting a picture of a man consumed by rage and vengeance. However, the most startling evidence was the series of text messages between Karen and her lovers, as well as between Karen and Tom. These messages showed Karen subtly manipulating Tom's emotions, planting seeds of doubt and paranoia. She had played on his insecurities, carefully orchestrating a scenario where his anger would erupt into violence. Tom's testimony, a heartbreaking confession. When Tom took the stand, the courtroom fell silent. His testimony was raw, emotional, and deeply revealing. He spoke of his love for Karen, how her betrayal had devastated him, and the unrelenting rage that had taken over his life. With tears streaming down his face, he described the murders in agonizing detail, expressing profound remorse for what he had done. "I wasn't myself," Tom said, his voice trembling. "I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. Karen, she broke me." His words left an indelible mark on the jury. Tom's visible pain and regret made it clear that he was not a cold-blooded killer, but a man who had been pushed to the brink by betrayal and manipulation. Despite this, the prosecution reminded the jury that Tom had made the conscious decision to commit murder, not once, but 3 times. Karen's defense crumbles. Karen's defense attempted to frame her as a victim of her circumstances, a woman trapped in a loveless marriage, seeking solace in fleeting moments of passion. They argued that she had never explicitly instructed Tom to harm anyone, and that she bore no responsibility for his actions. However, the evidence against her was overwhelming. The diary, the text messages, and her cold demeanor on the stand painted Karen in an entirely different light. She came across as calculating and unfeeling, more concerned with her image than with the lives destroyed by her actions. The jury struggled to see her as a victim, when her own words and actions showed a pattern of deliberate manipulation. The verdict and sentencing. On April 25, 2023, the jury delivered its verdict. Tom was found guilty on all counts of murder. While the jury acknowledged that he had been manipulated, they held him accountable for his violent actions. He was sentenced to death, a decision that left the courtroom in stunned silence. Tom stood motionless as the sentence was read, his once vibrant eyes now empty. Karen was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. The court determined that her manipulation of Tom had directly led to the deaths of 3 men. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison, a punishment that many felt was too lenient given the devastation she had caused. Karen maintained her stoic demeanor, showing little emotion as she was led away in handcuffs. The aftermath. The story of Tom and Karen Owens remains a haunting example of how love, betrayal, and manipulation can destroy lives. Tom, once a devoted husband and father, now faces execution for his crimes. Karen, the architect of the chaos, will spend years behind bars. Their children, innocent victims of the tragedy, must navigate life without either parent. This case left the nation grappling with profound questions. Could Tom have taken another path? Could Karen's manipulation have been stopped before it spiraled into murder? As we reflect on this chilling tale, one thing is clear. The line between love and destruction can be perilously thin. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe and hit the like button. Comment your favorite part in the video.